Welcome to the Peak Performance and Peak Satisfaction podcast with Master Executive Coach Sherry Gregoff. Sherry helps business people perform better, get rewarded handsomely, and actually enjoy their work. After having her own career turnaround, she now helps other high-powered business professionals experience the same. Join the movement to work differently.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you here. As leaders, one of our key responsibilities is grooming and advancing our team members. We may be overly invested in our people or be apt to hold them to sky-high standards. Use today's episode to objectively evaluate the talent on your team and get them promoted if it's their time. Get the free download at the first link in the show notes to use my criteria to evaluate your own team member for promotion and to articulate their readiness in a compelling way. Before we jump in, I want to shout out one of my clients who had a win in this area. Here is the quote from her. "I feel so much better about vetting this promotion and communicating the result either way to my team member, showing him that we are on the same side, and if this isn't the time, that it's just the process working, giving us the development feedback to address and go again." This client went from uncertain about whether to press for her team member's promotion and weary of his response to an unsuccessful ask, to feeling clear and confident in her process to vet the promotion and communicate the results in a way that would engage her team member. In our coaching, she determined that running the promotion prospect through the criteria was a clear way to gauge fit and timing of the promotion. There was also the realization that even if the promotion doesn't happen right now, it will establish the clear feedback to know exactly what to work on for future success, and that was a relief. She recalled a previously promoted team member that ended up being premature in hindsight, leading to missed expectations and eventually a termination. She learned from that process that having proof of the impact beyond the activities being done was a critical decision input. We role-played how to confidently discuss even unsuccessful results with her team member in a constructive way. We settled on how best to harness the team member's energy on getting promoted to a certain title to redirect it to growing their impact to the business. With their focus there, the promotion becomes a natural byproduct, not the aim in and of itself. She felt confident in her role to set the team member up for success, including by safeguarding him against premature promotion. We began with promotion angst, and 1 hour later, had a clear plan and peace about how to help this team member navigate the process. Similar victories are shared by all of my clients, and I have experienced it too in my own career turnaround. So let's hop to today's podcast content and get you on your way to experiencing this also. Before I show you how to get your team member promoted, there are some disclaimers and hurdles we have got to clear first. What does Spider-Man learn? With power comes great responsibility. I can't just dole out the ability to promote without the caution and examination that it's indeed the right course. You may be wondering, should I promote this person now? There's a few paces we need to take together for you to make a decision that you are confident in and feel great about. First up, let's explore the biases that can creep into this decision. The goal here is to critically consider whether there is a bias tainting our evaluation of the candidate for promotion. First, check for recency bias. Who had a milestone win in the month before promotion nomination? Take an objective look back at accomplishments over the last year, not the last few weeks. Proximity bias. We tend to notice those in our same office rather than those in another time zone based on sheer proximity. Check for differences in how opportunities are doled out and the level of appreciation for the team's value based on location and nearness to you and to headquarters. Similarity bias. We tend to relate to and favor those who seem similar to us. That could be how we look, where we grew up, went to school, even our communication or work style. We know that the more diversity of thought and experiences, the better outcomes. So check whether you have a preference for those who are similar to you. Quid pro quo. We may subconsciously encourage mutually beneficial relationships. If someone is a shoo-in to agree with your proposals, it may be more appealing to scratch their back too. Check for expectation of exchanging favors. People-pleasing. We may not want to disappoint or upset a team member, so we may feel pressure to put them up for promotion without objectively evaluating their readiness. As leaders, we have to give the bad news, but human nature has us avoiding that. Competitive bias. We may see this promotion candidate as our person and feel motivated to get them promoted at any cost in order to win. This is when making the nomination as positive as possible for a successful outcome feels more important than objectively telling their story. We don't want to slip into competitive mode that will have the blinders on to their weaknesses or to giving an objective assessment of their readiness. Put yourself through these paces by checking for unconscious bias in favor of or against your team members as step 1. Step 2 is realizing that when the promotion is premature, everyone suffers. So conduct an objective assessment. If your company offers guidance on this, great. If not, make your own. It's not often discussed, but premature promotion is the kiss of death. Don't let your team members talk you into it. It's for their own good. Promotion is a process for a reason. There needs to be due diligence done to test the case for promotion. Your team member may have the blinders on and just want the title yesterday. Here's the issue with giving them the title prematurely. If they suddenly are punching above their weight, their performance might tank. With promotion, expectations rise. If their performance before promotion was inflated, the new set of criteria can make development areas glaringly obvious and then problematic. This can start to feel like a target on their back or an exposed weakness. They could struggle to catch up and address those gaps while in the title. Throw a reorganization in the mix, where this newly promoted team member starts working for a new leader without the context or history or goodwill towards this team member, and now their job could be at risk. This is no exaggeration. It is a real probability for talent that has been promoted prematurely. So what does a manager do if they do their due diligence and objectively assess a candidate only to determine they're not ready? We call them up to grow and rise to that next level. We give them specific development areas to work on and coach them through it. We remind them that this is the promotion process working. Nothing has gone wrong here. It exists to ensure the milestone happens when the person is ready and not before. This is how we set talent up for success in the organization. Make clear to your team member that you're on the same side here, that you are invested in their development, and that this is something you're aiming for together. This development feedback is valuable because it's giving them the exact clues on how to advance their careers. Encourage them to come up with specific ideas on how to grow and help steer them to make those next steps concrete and impactful. Our mindset in these conversations is not one of trepidation in delivering bad news on their sought-after promotion. We are just delivering the facts they need to know to get what they want. We owe it to them to investigate, to find those development areas, share them, and support them through addressing them. All right, so now we've checked for our own unconscious bias when making this decision to promote. We carefully evaluated the team member to assess their readiness for promotion. If you and they have cleared those hurdles, Then we turn to getting that team member promoted. Here's the criteria, both the well-publicized and the unspoken criteria for promotion that won't be listed on your corporate website. As we step through these, you can use them to again evaluate your decision on promotion, but also use them to formulate the business case for promotion in a way that is incredibly compelling, comprehensive, and well thought out. First, what is the number of years for the team member in this role, in this title, at the company, in the industry, and years of total work experience? Of course, promotion is not a numbers game, but these stats are important. Relevant work experience outside the company is often unclear to most, but it bears repeating in this process. The same goes for any degrees, licenses, and certifications. If there's any color or context to the trajectory of career development or time and title, consider that, how it will present, and how it might be useful to convey as part of their case. Next, consider the scope of the role that the team member holds and whether it's worthy of the next corporate title. There is some benchmarking that has to happen here. Do people in this role elsewhere hold this title? Is the scope of responsibility and impact perceived as on par with the next level? Did they replace someone who is at the next corporate title or take on work from someone at that level? This is a useful parameter because we start by separating the individual and their long-term potential from this decision. This is a discrete measure of the scope of impact as set by the functional role itself. If the scope is not large enough to warrant a promotion, it will likely be an uphill battle. In this process of evaluating scope, you will often start down the path of quantifying the impact of this team member and the role. What business results are they responsible for? Are they generating revenue, reducing cost, mitigating risk? What's the quantified value to the business that this individual created? Some roles lend themselves clearly to this quantified impact, but others not so much. This is the time to get creative, to dig into any numbers that help show the magnitude of this team member's work. Did they launch products, close sales, run line functions, manage people? How large of a budget? Did they avoid errors, implement changes, assume new responsibilities, consolidate groups, integrate acquisitions, lead cross-functional initiatives? These are questions just to get the wheels turning on how to explain the scope and the impact to an outsider who doesn't have the inside information and context for this team member's work. Scope of role and impact should be compelling and clear to be comparable to others in the next corporate title. If this is lacking, consider role expansion, how to grow or better sustain the impact in the role. On to some of the less obvious aspects of making a case for promotion and addressing the often unasked questions and hesitations that may come up for other decision makers. How much of this person's impact was due to their independent contributions and that of their team? Depending on the role, it can be difficult to tease out what the individual was responsible for versus their peers, their manager, or even a star performer on their own team. As managers, we need to articulate how independently and autonomously they are working. Usually, we like to say, we this, we that, but this is the time, maybe the only time, to get very specific about individual contributions. When we exaggerate and pin group success on a single individual, it usually comes off as convincing and biased. So be accurate here. Consider how much direction and guidance this team member needs. Consider if they are creating thought leadership themselves and how that has been received. An offshoot of this topic is clarifying how this role fits into the landscape of your organization. What titles do the team members' peers have? What is the business need for the number of individuals in each title? Is the organization getting top-heavy, or is this concentration and profile of titles warranted? There will be a lens of both being fair and equitable here in terms of similar jobs being titled consistently, but also a check that we aren't doling out titles like participation awards and ending up with a lopsided organizational structure. Another aspect to consider is what this team member's future career path looks like. Do they have the potential to advance again? When might that be? Is this individual someone who might be your successor? Is that a goal that you would work towards, or are they already the obvious candidate? When considering their future, there is an aspect of giving them runway and simply having thought a few steps ahead to be sure that we are lining up a long-term career path if we think their performance and potential warrants it. Now that we have looked forward to the future, take this moment to also look back. What has their performance track record been? Are they coming off of a strong year of outperformance or consistent outperformance for years? It's helpful to see a trend here of sustained performance rather than a single standout year. Have they weathered different business cycles and phases of external challenges that come up for that role? This is another way to ensure that a newly promoted team member doesn't crash and burn the next year when the business environment takes a turn. The idea is for their outperformance to be durable and have been tested. Let's turn to relationships and stakeholders next. First, within the team. Does this individual manage a team? What has the feedback on them as a manager been? Have you had skip-level meetings with their direct reports to create a safe space for any concerns or negative feedback to be shared without retaliation? Nothing disenfranchises an organization in a single shot like promoting a manager who isn't supported by their people. Many of us are incentivized to manage up well and be our most respectful and charming in that direction, but you may find another set of attributes experienced acutely by different sets of stakeholders. Check in with the team to be sure they are having regular communication, receiving clear direction, clear and constructive feedback, career coaching, and an overall supportive and healthy work environment is the first step. Evidence of people being developed and enjoying success in their own right is another indicator. The retention rate of key talent on their teams is yet another. Let's turn to their peers next. What is the feedback for this individual from their peers who also work for you? Do they play a leadership role amongst this group, knowing the impact they have for the rest of the team? Rallying the group, being forward-thinking, challenging groupthink, bringing the dialogue to a higher level, works well with others, isn't just a requirement from grade school. In the office, it's just as critical, and the ability to maintain productive and partnerly relationships is crucial. Anytime I've seen someone without these skills promoted or given expanded responsibility, it's always been the first step on their road out of an organization. My view is that without these skills, one's success will always be limited, and their career often will be abruptly cut short. Seek out interpersonal feedback on your team member, including any that may be difficult to hear. Now, broaden out to stakeholders beyond your team. What's the feedback from internal clients, internal service providers, functions upstream and downstream? Do they have turf wars or tiffs? Or is the level of trust and communication high? Are they even a known quantity outside of your team, or are they insular? How have they used collaboration and partnership to advance the business's goals? What impact are they making beyond your team and department? How broad is their impact across functions and regions? Seeking candid feedback here again will only help the individual to grow their network and strengthen their relationships. We touched on it here, but next go deeper on how they achieve the results they do. Are they leaving a trail of collateral damage behind them, or a trail of stakeholders that sing their praise? How do they lead a meeting, an initiative, a working group? What is their leadership style? Consensus-based or more authoritative? Are their behaviors consistent with those that are seen as table stakes within the organization? How would you describe them critically and factually? Are there old run-ins or difficult feedback or uncharacteristic behavior that has been called out in the last few years? Be aware of it and how it had been addressed, or not, as the promotion process tends to stir everyone's memories and unsolved mysteries do not go over well. Consider relationships outside of the company next. What is their external network like? How much client interaction do they have? Is it on their own? Do they lead it? What is feedback from customers on this team member? What has been the impact of their customer interaction? Get specific here on the number of relationships, size of relationships, their impact on customer acquisition, expansion, retention, and quantified benefit to the business. Also be clear on how independently and autonomously the individual does this work with clients. If there's no client interaction, why? Should that change? Next, consider their leadership contributions to culture beyond their daily work. How do they add to or detract from the organizational culture? What groups and networks are they a part of, and do they take a leadership role? Do they add back to the collective more than they take? How inclusive are they? Are they paying it forward by mentoring others in the organization? What specific activities do they lead that make them a culture carrier within the business? Next, is there evidence of strategic setting of direction and influencing the evolution of the function or organization? What changes has the individual implemented for the long term? Does the individual offer up a contrarian view in a constructive way? Where has the individual encountered significant challenges and overcome them? Depending on the outcome of this promotion process, what is their flight risk? To be clear, I don't ever suggest promoting someone because they threaten to walk or have external options, but it is a data point because if the promotion is clear to action now, any competing offers are relevant. If this title has already been offered through a role at a competitor, that is also helpful intel. Next, consider why this milestone seems fitting now, beyond their years in the current title. Was there a significant development milestone reached or achievement in this time period that makes it the obvious time for promotion? In this same vein, has this team member been considered for this promotion to this next title before? If they were not successful then, why? Have these issues been addressed to make this evaluation outcome different? Next, is your own manager supportive of this promotion? How about their leader? Lastly, what are the true areas of development for this candidate? Beware the pull to identify strengths disguised as weaknesses. Have these development areas been communicated to the individual? How was it received? Have there been growth on these topics? If not, these are steps to take immediately. Those were the obvious and the unspoken criteria that I suggest evaluating your team member on. This will help you arrive at an objective decision first and foremost, but then it will also arm you to be able to make a rock-solid business case for promotion that shows that you have turned over every stone. On that note, do not underestimate the role you play in helping this team member navigate the promotion process in your business. It's usually more complicated than it seems at face value. Your role ensures their story is told in a compelling way. Think of yourself as a reporter relaying the facts. Superlatives and conjecture usually discredits your argument. Don't tell them what a star employee they are. Show them with the facts. This makes it much more powerful than just hearing what sounds like opinions and impressions of yours on your own person. It's obvious to all that promoting someone who works for you can have direct benefit to you. So there's a vested interest and even a conflict of interest there. So in every case you make for this team member's promotion, verbal or written, ground it in facts and data so the candidacy speaks for itself without any convincing energy from you. Give yourself time to formulate this case, probe stakeholders, and gather data so that you are prepared to present your candidate in the best light to give them a fair and equitable chance of earning this promotion. It takes a village, and the process that I've laid out ensures this change happens at the right time, such that your team member feels supported and recognized appropriately. The end product is them feeling engaged and invested in, to be motivated to keep growing their impact to the business. Check out my free download at the first link in the show notes for a takeaway that summarizes this exact criteria and helps you create the compelling business case. And you know where to find me if you could use support in doing this process for your team member. Until next time.
Looking for support in applying the principles and strategies in today's episode? Sherry coaches clients one-on-one as their trusted confidant and advisor, helping each client create the work and life they had only dreamed of. To schedule your complimentary career strategy session, go to sherrygregoff.com/apply to book time with her today. It's one simple step that can change everything.